The voice of doubt is paralyzing your faith, whispering limitations and defeat into your spirit. Today, we're going to learn how to not just silence that voice, but to replace it with an unshakable inner conviction, transforming your daily struggles into a powerful testament to God's unwavering presence and your own cultivated resilience. You may have felt like a ship tossed by every wave, reacting to circumstances instead of charting your own course, believing that success or peace was reserved for others, for those with more innate talent or better luck. But what if I told you that the very soil of your destiny, the ground upon which your victories are built, lies not in external conditions, but in the unseen garden of your own mind? We're talking about cultivating a winner's mindset, a spirit forged in faith, discipline, and consistent action, not through some fleeting burst of inspiration, but through the deliberate daily choices you make. This isn't about ignoring your problems. It's about transforming your approach to them, understanding that every challenge is an invitation to grow, to deepen your trust, and to reveal the strength God has already placed within you. We're going to uncover how true spiritual victory isn't about avoiding the battle, but about standing firm, knowing you have a divine advantage. Many of us find ourselves trapped in a cycle of reaction, explaining away our lack of progress with external factors. If only I had more time. If only I had more resources. If only people understood. This isn't just a convenient excuse. It's a profound misdiagnosis of where real power resides. The truth is, the most significant battles are won or lost, not in the arena of external circumstances, but in the quiet chambers of your own heart and mind. We often look for a grand, miraculous intervention when God is calling us to consistent, humble obedience in the small, unseen moments. Consider Sarah, a compassionate young woman in her late 20s who dreamed of building a community outreach program. For years, she felt stuck, blaming the lack of funding, the overwhelming bureaucracy, and her own perceived lack of experience. She'd start with enthusiasm, only to quickly descend into discouragement, believing she wasn't cut out for it. Her spirit was willing, but her mindset was brittle, susceptible to every discouraging wind. She prayed for open doors, but her internal framework was one of limitation. The first step towards transformation, then, isn't a miraculous breakthrough, but a profound shift from a reactive stance to a proactive, disciplined, and self-governed approach to life. It's about taking radical ownership of your thoughts, your choices, and your habits, understanding that true success, spiritual or otherwise, is simply the natural outflow of consistent, intentional effort. What if the very thing holding you back isn't a lack of opportunity, but a lack of internal resolve? I invite you right now to pause for a moment and reflect. What is one small, consistent action you know you should be taking but aren't? Share your thoughts below, and let's commit to this journey together. Your insights might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. One of the greatest obstacles we face is the seductive comfort of convenience, the whisper that tells us to choose the easy path over the disciplined one. We might feel called to deepen our prayer life, to serve more diligently, or to pursue a difficult but necessary goal, but the sheer inconvenience of it can stop us cold. This isn't just laziness, it's a spiritual battle against the path of least resistance that keeps us from the path of greatest growth. Think of Daniel, a young man taken captive to a foreign land. Faced with the king's rich food and wine, a temptation to compromise his spiritual convictions, Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself. Daniel 1:8. He didn't just wish for strength, he made a deliberate, internal commitment. He chose discomfort for the sake of conviction. Sarah, in her journey, began to apply this very principle. Instead of waiting for a grant to magically appear, she committed to 1 hour each day, no matter how tired she was, to researching, networking, or simply writing down her vision. This wasn't glamorous work. It was often tedious and lonely. She learned that true commitment isn't about feeling motivated every day, but about honoring a self-demanded standard, even when the external motivation is nowhere to be found. This consistent, often unseen, effort is the unseen scaffolding that builds an unshakable foundation for your dreams. It's the daily chipping away at the stone that eventually reveals the masterpiece. Another profound obstacle is the endless pursuit of external validation, constantly looking to others for approval or recognition. This can manifest as comparing ourselves to others' spiritual journeys, seeking praise for our good deeds, or even allowing criticism to derail our faith. We become dependent on the applause of man rather than the affirmation of God. But here's a surprising revelation. Your greatest strength often emerges not when you are affirmed, but when you are challenged, when you must dig deep and rely solely on the Spirit within you. What if your greatest blessings are hidden behind your greatest fears? Those raw, vulnerable places where you feel most exposed and least worthy. The Apostle Paul reminds us in 2 Corinthians 12:9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." This isn't just a comforting verse, it's a practical principle. When Sarah stopped seeking validation from potential donors, or even her skeptical friends, and instead focused on the divine purpose she felt called to fulfill, something shifted. She learned to embrace discomfort, not as a sign of failure, but as a crucible for growth. She started seeing setbacks not as roadblocks, but as learning opportunities, refining her approach, sharpening her vision. This meant letting go of the need for immediate results or outward praise, and instead finding her satisfaction in the quiet, consistent work of sowing seeds, trusting that God would bring the harvest in His time. This leads us to a pivotal spiritual turning point, the profound realization that true victory isn't about overcoming external circumstances, but about transforming the internal landscape of your mind and spirit. It's about guarding your heart above all else, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. This isn't a passive act of self-care, it's an active daily discipline, akin to tending a garden. You wouldn't leave your garden to weeds and expect a bountiful harvest. Similarly, you cannot leave your mind to random thoughts, negative influences, and fear, and expect a life of peace and purpose. The central biblical truth here is that you have been given the mind of Christ, 1 Corinthians 2:16, capable of discerning truth, cultivating wisdom, and actively choosing thoughts that align with God's will. This is where the real transformation begins. Sarah experienced this turning point when she stopped viewing her struggles as personal failings and started seeing them as spiritual exercises. She began to actively weed her mental garden, replacing thoughts of inadequacy with affirmations of God's equipping power. She started to see her small daily efforts not as insignificant, but as acts of profound faith, like building a grand cathedral one brick at a time. Her inner transformation wasn't a sudden explosion, but a gradual, consistent reshaping of her identity from someone who felt cursed by circumstances to someone who felt empowered by purpose. This newfound perspective shifts everything. You begin to see that God isn't just interested in your destination, but profoundly invested in your journey, in the person you're becoming along the way. Your daily battles, previously seen as burdens, become opportunities to forge a resilient identity, one that relentlessly pursues growth and trusts in a power far greater than its own. Consider a powerful testimony. John, an executive in his mid-40s, had always prided himself on his self-reliance. When he faced a devastating financial loss and a health crisis simultaneously, his carefully constructed world crumbled. Felt utterly defeated, his faith wavering. But in his darkest hour, he was forced to surrender his need for control and lean entirely on God. He started small, simply showing up for prayer, even when he felt nothing. He began journaling, not just his despair, but his gratitude for the tiny blessings he could still perceive. Over time, John realized that his victory wasn't the immediate reversal of his circumstances, but the profound inner peace and unwavering trust he developed amidst the storm. He learned to navigate by the stars of divine purpose, not the storms of immediate chaos. This expansive application means that this mindset isn't just for grand spiritual endeavors. It applies to every facet of your life, your relationships, your work, your health. It means understanding that every single day is an opportunity to practice this winner's mindset, to choose ownership over victimhood, discipline over convenience, and faith over fear. So, how do we put this into practice? The steps are practical, yet profoundly transformative. First, begin each day with intentionality. Before your feet hit the floor, ask yourself, what is one small, consistent action I can take today that aligns with my purpose and honors God? This isn't about monumental tasks, but about consistent, tiny victories. Remember Zechariah 4:10, which speaks against despising the day of small beginnings. Each small act of discipline, whether it's 5 minutes of prayer, a focused effort, at work or a kind word spoken, builds momentum and reinforces your new identity. Second, embrace discomfort as a divine invitation. When you feel the urge to procrastinate, to avoid, or to give up, recognize it as an opportunity to lean into God's strength. Discomfort is often the gateway to growth. Third, practice radical ownership. When things go wrong, resist the urge to blame. Instead, ask, what can I learn from this? What is my part in this? What small adjustment can I make? This isn't about self-blame, but about empowered responsibility. This renewed vision means you're not just hoping for a better future. You're actively building it, brick by brick, with God as your master architect. It's an invitation to shift from being a passenger in your own life to becoming the pilot, guided by divine wisdom. Are you ready to step into this new way of living, to truly take the reins of your spirit? As we consolidate this journey, remember that success, in its truest sense, isn't a destination arrived at, but a continuous process, a daily cultivation of your spiritual soil. It's the unwavering commitment to commitment itself, the quiet strength found in showing up, even when no one is watching, even when you don't feel like it. This isn't about perfection, it's about relentless progress. Your story is still being written, and with every choice, every disciplined action, every moment of ownership, you are adding pages to a narrative of divine resilience and human strength. The vision of your future isn't some distant, unattainable fantasy. It's the natural outcome of the seeds you are planting today, in faith, in discipline, and in unwavering purpose. Imagine looking back a year from now, seeing how far you've come, not because of a sudden miracle, but because of the consistent, often unseen effort you poured into cultivating that winner's mindset. This isn't just a video, it's a call to action for your spirit. If this message resonated with you, if it sparked a flicker of hope or a renewed sense of purpose, I invite you to share your own small beginning story in the comments below. What is one tiny step you're committing to take starting today? Your experience, your courage to share, could be the very light someone else desperately needs to see. Let's build a community of unwavering spirits, supporting each other on this incredible journey of faith.